to our podcast. It's Sarah.
Nick.
And Mitch.
And we're here to talk about a JKU ton swap today.
Yay!
Yay! Hopefully we'll be talking about a JKU ton swap here shortly, but we'll see how it goes. I'm trying. I can only do so much. But my 2011 was transitioned to much better axles.
So we heard last
year.
episode, the trials and tribulations of trying to strengthen a Dana 30.
Yes, we
44
definitely...
combo.
For a heavy Jeep.
For a heavy Jeep.
Yeah.
Bertha's a heavy girl. But, I was just trying to think when we did it. It wasn't last summer, was it?
No, it was summer before.
Yeah.
2021? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it was just after we moved because... Yeah.
Yeah, because you weren't
I
here.
know.
35,000 K ago?
Yeah, 36. It was more than 35 because it's, yeah. A lot of K. A lot of K on that poor sucker. The trip to Shelburne covered all of that, so that's not... Anyways, we are totally going off a topic here.
Yeah.
So we did the 1 ton swap.
So, okay, first off, what was the point that you decided, like, you know what? We're going to dive in, we're going to do the 1 tons. Was it when you snapped the 30?
So there was a lot of discussion, and I can't say it was decided in a day by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, it doesn't seem like something that would be decided in a day, but
I mean, it wasn't an easy decision for us, and it wasn't like we didn't just step right to there, because we talked about finding a shell of a Dana 30 and just storing my inners in it.
Putting hubs on it. So we alleviated the tent, like we alleviated the locker constantly being on, making it more drivable and stuff like that. We talked about doing that. And then we were talking about, you were like, well, we'll have to run different hubs for the front compared to the rear. We're running 8 bolts compared to the 5. And it was a lot. Everything's steamrolled because you think of it as a pair.
Mm-hmm.
You have your front axle. Okay, let's make that strong. Well, now the rear. Well, the rear's pretty strong, but let's make it stronger. Well, why not just put a bigger axle in?
Well, you were just like, well, why don't we just put a Super Duty in the front?
Yeah.
And then we'll just get rid of the issue. The 44 is strong enough. And I was like, yeah, but I felt like it was really... I felt disjointed about the whole thing, and I felt like there was going to be... So I have a lot more strength in the rear, and now... in the front, and now the rear's become the weak point.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you're going to be limited to 37s?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was different bolt patterns, or we have to use adapters or something like that. And we just kind of really didn't decide, but we actually found some YouTube videos and a lot of Facebook groups, and we kind of got really researching it and then figuring out how easy, not...
Financially easy, labor intensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was outrageously labor intensive. Oh, God, it was months.
Yeah.
Because you
research, so you would go forward. Getting the housings is the easy part.
Yeah.
Oh, buying the axles is the cheapest, easiest part of the entire scenario.
Here, take my money. I'll take this home.
Those trucks are plentiful. There's good strength in them.
And I'll get my clueless friend to help me unload.
These are very heavy.
Yeah.
No, I think the fact that you came over and you had left boxes, so for the longest time, we had everything squirreled away in the basement.
Yeah.
Here, and then I think you left the truss kit or something outside.
Something Barnes related.
No, it was something TMR related, and it had like a clear label of what it was. And you were just like, oh, what's that? And you fed him the most bullshit lie I think I had ever heard. You were just like, oh yeah, I heard that if you do this for this, and it works with the Dana 80 because we were doing this axle swap on chippers. That was a really busy year for us in doing axle swaps.
Yeah, you just can't get enough gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did the 80 and everything like that. And you said something about the brackets or something like that would have helped it for this, and you were like, seems plausible, and we continued on.
Yeah, whatever, right?
Because I came in and I was like, you almost fucking blew the cover. What the fuck are you doing?
It is hilarious that we ended up keeping this all kind of undercover, brother.
Well, we kept it undercover for a lot of reasons. You and I decided how we were going to build it, and we knew if we...
Started to include yourself and everybody else. Not necessarily just you guys, but like more and more people that got
everybody has their own ideas of how you should do it, and
how it shouldn't be this, and why did you go with this brand, and I would have done it this way.
With that.
So it was.
Why waste your money? It's too much work.
Yeah.
Why would you buy that tire?
Why would you do that on a daily?
Always
we
great
actually,
questions.
yeah, I was just saying.
That was probably the most common that we kept hearing over and over again.
Yeah, it's why would you do it to your daily? And I wouldn't have done it this way. And that's why we kept it quiet, because we wanted to build the build the way we wanted to have it built. We knew it was going to be a stressful endeavor, and we didn't want
extra stress.
Oh, we didn't want the 50 opinions.
Yeah.
You know, so I just
for the times it would have been great to have your help.
Yeah.
Oh, moving it and stuff like that, and all just.
Oh, hold this bracket, or hey, do you want to just even give us a hand with the kids? You know.
Yeah.
Well, even doing the arms and stuff like that too was a big deal. You know,
chasing the threads. Hard to find a left hand. What, 1 by 1/4 or something? I forget how many. It's like 1 1/4 by 8 or 1 1/4 by 7 threads, like something weirdness.
Yeah, that's when you turn to McMaster Carr.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was just saying, we did a lot of things that were constantly, like, it did require 2 people for a lot of it, and you and I spent a lot of nights outside working.
Yeah. Grinding, cutting, smoothing, peening.
Yeah, we tried to do most of the cutting at night when we used torches and stuff like that. We did all the grinding during the day.
Just so loud.
Yeah, we did belt
sanding.
Did
you have an oxyacetylene torch here, or did you do oxypropane?
Eventually we did oxypropane.
Yeah. I was just saying.
But I think my tip wasn't working good or something.
So you had issues with your tips, and I think we borrowed the neighbors.
Yeah.
Because the tips we had weren't working.
And it's just, bought a used set and stuff, and I was so excited. And, no plasma or nothing, right?
No. Okay, but, so I think we're a little ahead of ourselves. So what axles did you buy? Like, obviously, 60-14 bolt. Yep. But, like, what year of...
Yeah, so 05 to 10 was our...
11.
05 to 10 or 05 to 11 was the front end. Depends on the bracket, so it's steering related stuff.
Okay.
So Super Duty, 2500, 3500 was the window with that style of everything. That style brakes, 8-boat wheels, non-dually. Yeah.
I was just saying...
Non-dually for the track width? Or?
So I don't know how much it differs, but they have adapters on the outside, and we weren't sure if the adapter used a short stud to bolt on or a long stud.
Oh, okay.
So we're like, you know what? They make lots of 2500s, or sorry, F250s.
Yeah.
Let's just look for one of those.
Yeah.
And they eventually came out of a CN truck.
Okay.
So it had, we changed the ball joints anyway, but it had fairly decent ball joints. It had fairly decent brakes. Are you still using the calipers, or?
I think we used the rotors. I think we turned them.
Yeah, and then they just needed a scuff, like they were.
No, but we ended up, I think, 2 or 3 months in, we changed the rotors out because they warped.
Oh.
After being used again. I remember them warping.
Yeah, that's fair.
And because we switched.
That's pretty common when brake rotors sit for a while and then all of a sudden start getting used again.
Yeah.
Because it's just like saturated, I guess.
Yeah.
And the rear, so that the end of it, the front was either an 05 or it was either it was an 06.
I said I think an 06.
And I think the rear we thought was an 06, but it turned out to be an 07 disc brake 14 bolt.
What's the difference between 06 and 07?
So we found out it's the rotor.
It's the rotor.
Yeah, rotor diameter inside the hub. So the hub is a larger.
I was just say the hub is like you didn't take off that much. It was only a couple of thou.
No, it was 30 or 40 thou.
Okay.
And I think the local machine guy just took a bore and just poured it out for me.
Yeah.
Because you were trying to figure out how you were going to do it and when you were going to be able to get a shop time with Lay so you could do it yourself. But
everything else fit just perfectly, and like it didn't have to take any changes. So and really the reason why I went with those axles was proven strength and affordability, like just insane.
Yes. Yeah.
Like when you talk about $5,000 for $4,500, whatever, for one of those good solid aftermarket 44 centers.
Yeah.
It puts the 30 stuff on the outside.
Yeah.
That must include the gears or something. I don't even know if that includes
I think so, and I think it's extra if you want a locker.
Wow.
Yeah. Well.
Because you specify your gear ratio.
Okay. So that would have been a fairly simple swap.
Yeah.
Do it in an afternoon.
Yeah.
But I think once we found out the strength and the size of tire you wanted to go and getting the belly up, and then of course snowballs from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the size of the tire, because we agreed we were going to go 37s. That was what we started off with. We're like, we're going to stick with 37s. We don't need to make it any higher. And then you and I were looking at tire prices. And 37s and 40s were the same price.
Yeah, or very similar.
Oh, so why not go bigger?
Well, exactly. That was his response.
And
he's
if you're already doing the tons, then what does it matter?
Exactly. That was your comment. You're like, well, we're already here. The one when we went to go, because we originally wanted to go with the Maxxis.
Yeah.
And they were the same price.
Maxxis racers, yeah.
Yeah. From 37s to 40s, they were the same price.
I guess 37s were really popular at the time,
Yeah.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Rubicon can throw 37s on and
go
party.
Yeah.
So, and then we couldn't find any Maxxis, and then that's when we went to a local company and were able to get our Toyos.
The Toyos, yeah. Mm-hmm. Which, they go down the road smooth.
They go down the road really smoothly. I'm actually surprised how quiet they are and the drivability.
Yeah, I've ran open countries in the past, and they were really nice for a mud tire. And lasted long, too.
I was just saying, mine are...
Like, the tread wear was just phenomenal.
No, look at Chips. Chips is running Toyos.
Yeah.
The tires are dry rotting away, but the tread's still there.
Going back to chalk, yeah.
Well, like, I got, on mine, I must have got 110,000. And then and then I gave them to my brother, and he put another 100,000 on them.
Well, it's like my
they're
dad.
bald as hell now. Like, they're sitting up in the field out back, but
still incredible life.
Yeah.
Well, even look at my dad's tires when he was running the Toyos.
Yeah.
We ran them down to Florida and back. That was a lot on my Jeep with stock axles, stock gearing, everything like that. That was a hard
35-inch E-rated.
Yeah.
Heavy. But yeah, also just quickly going back. So really, when we started looking at the axles, the price point for the strength, the added size of the big brake kit, we had to go for gears anyway. The availability of the locker, we could figure out the steering. We knew we wanted drive shafts anyway with a lift kit. Yeah. And then once we got into the lift kit, that was a bit of a snowball because there was some speculation on if an off-the-shelf kit would fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as we've discussed in the past, when you think about the different joints that are available, the open joints, like we ended up going with, or some of the other ones that are sealed joint, we're just like, oh, shoot, like, do they work? Okay, well, the sealed joints have to work together. Is the mounting points for the low control arm, are they too wide for the steel joints? Like, that was a bit of a debate. So
I was even thinking brand, like you and I were looking at just like, as you say, like over the counter ones that you just go to your nearest aftermarket store and buy a lift kit.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember I convinced you, I was like, so I saw this really cool video and we can do a long arm kit. And I'm like, and then my Jeep will be like your Jeep. We should totally do a long arm kit. And you're like, babe, we're so deep into this axle swap. I don't want to do a long arm kit. Let's just keep the standards let's just keep the stock suspension for right now. Then we'll look into lift kits, or we'll look into something like this. You looked into some different brands, and I'm like, or
we do a long arm.
Or we do a long arm. And it was a lot. And I remember trying to convince you, and I'm like, look, they have this kit. We can do most of the metal here in Canada, because we did have to order some stuff from this. We had to order the joints and the cross member and the one bent arm we ordered.
Yeah, the rear upper. I don't think exactly the rear upper.
But other than that, we ordered all the other stuff we ordered from here.
Yeah, all the tubes.
All the tubes and everything like that was all done here. Our steering was all done here. We did all the tubes and stuff like that. We just ordered the joints. Yeah. You did a lot of work in the shop, machining all the arms and everything like that, and welding the bungs in. And
yes.
Really, if you ever have a chance to take a look at my arms, I'm not sure if you ever have.
Mm-hmm.
They're gorgeously done.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
love them. So
dragged them on some rock even.
I'm usually pretty good. I try not to.
The real test will be whenever you set it on a rock.
True. Slip over.
Yeah. Boom.
We've done it a few times because my suspension is so soft that if you go up and you if you go up a little bit of speed and you kind of like have that like hop, it'll actually bottom out and it'll be like this far off the ground when you get out and look at it and you're like, what the? No, that's just how much my suspension moves.
I do like riding in yours because it's nice and soft.
Oh yeah. When Gary hopped in my Jeep and he drove it around the street the one day, and he's like, this does not feel like a Jeep on 40s and tons.
No.
He's like, it's gorgeously smooth.
Yeah.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is a really nice Jeep.
It's a hybrid mall crawler.
It is my hybrid mall crawler. I sneak up on people.
Yeah.
I have actually started my Jeep with it running.
You go to try?
Yeah, I have. He was running, and we had Red with us. And you guys are both like, oh, no. And I was like, oh gosh, they're waiting for me to move, and my Jeep just clicks. By the way.
Oh, it doesn't try and engage the start?
No, it's just like, you're stupid. And I was like, oh, I'm running. And I'm like, and they make fun of my mole crawlerness, but you know, my hybrid can sneak up on anybody in the wild.
It's true.
No, I do. I have to admit, I do like that fact about my Jeep, but
we changed out the hubs, the front hubs, because one was kind of frozen up.
But we didn't do that right away. We did that a while.
After a couple runs.
After a couple runs, when I was running in 2-wheel drive because we couldn't get that one hub to engage.
You've solved that problem?
Oh yeah, we solved that. Okay. Probably within a few months of us running.
Well, we solved the hub engaging problem.
Yeah.
And then there's still you got to sort of turn it and clock it so it engages. Yeah, that's not something
that's kind of a Ford thing, isn't it?
I guess.
Yeah.
But you and I are talking about doing bearings in that in the front end. And just kind of
going through
it. Did the axle come with auto hubs? Like the vacuum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there a way you can hook up the... is there a way you could hook up the vacuum system
I'm sure you could. I don't know how you would do it, but I'm sure you could.
But just like snip and throw it away?
We ended up plugging it. I forget what else went in there.
I think we just plugged it.
Plugged it, yeah. Yeah.
It always fails anyway.
Only when you need it.
Yeah.
But like, think about the build that I have right now. You know, I have I have the manual hubs.
Mm-hmm.
My locker is cable driven.
In theory.
Okay, so to touch on that briefly, my locker is a Bluetooth locker. The locker is in. We have not. I guess in 2 years we really need to get that sorted right away. In 2 years we have not run the cable for the locker.
Do you have the cable?
Absolutely.
And a sweet little shifter.
And a sweet little awesome shifter.
Jeez.
We need to spend the time and run it. We should add that to our to-do list of things.
Got another car now.
My girlfriend yesterday she messaged me and she's like, "Oh, so your Jeep's all ready for the first run of the year?"
Actually, I was here when she did that.
No. This was like last night.
Well, she messaged you yesterday when I was here.
Okay, well, either way, she asked me if everything was done, and I sent her back the Jafar reel from Disney where he shoots out this huge long list of what needs to be done to the Jeep, and I was like, "Ha ha! All right." And she was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's how we roll."
But
here.
is it need, want, should, or just don't need?
That list, that encompasses everything.
Yeah.
I was just saying.
Because the open diff is fine for the most of the trails we run.
Yeah.
It's just that when you need it and you're hanging a tire and that tire's
when I need to, show two doors how it's done, that's when I really need that little.
I'm not gonna lie,
you need the extra parts to do it.
In all fairness, playing in that mud up north there, that would have been a nice time out there.
Oh, he posted about me today. Rude.
Actually, if I remember right, it wasn't you that was driving.
No, I wasn't driving. I think that was when Mitch tried to roll my Jeep.
Yeah.
Hey, if you were driving, you would have got through, right?
No, I'm just... You almost rolled my Jeep.
Actually, if you look at the video I posted, it wasn't that bad until I started pulling on you. And then it
unloaded
in more, yeah. But anyways.
I can't remember which one it was, or I think it was in that situation where I think I had gotten out and Mitch had tried to like back up and do again, and you hear him, he's fine. Just not very good. Like you can see, you're just like,
yeah, because I'm standing beside
out.
you and you were freaking out, and I'm like, no, it's fine.
And you're totally like, it's not fine.
Yeah.
But that's we made it through. That was, but yeah, like we went with 538s.
Yep. Aux locker cable.
What breed of gear set? Yukon?
No,
there was a couple different kinds. They were like a Rock Auto special.
Oh yeah.
SKF bearings throughout because that was just my thing. Yeah, you know what?
I'm trying to remember what the box looks like because I've moved it a few times. Because it has the stock gears in it.
Okay.
Because we're pack rats.
Yeah.
That's what we do. I have all the stock gears.
There was
stock gears.
Were they a
30
match
40.
set?
No. 373s and 410s, right?
Yeah, 410s in the rear and then 373s in the Ford.
Yeah.
But does that mean it shut off?
That one shut off. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's its limit.
So we have shut off.
Yeah, we have trying a new thing because we lost a bunch of video in the last episode. So
now
we have all the cameras.
We have all the cameras. Everything's being recorded now. Yeah. There is nothing getting away.
I think it was there was two. There was a Richmond gear that might have been in the front, and then a lower line Yukon. They have like a secondary line that we found on Rock Auto.
Yeah.
Before all the prices went crazy, we ended up buying everything.
Yeah. And in all fairness, you're not going to be... I said in all fairness, not to be fair. Anyways, you're not stressing it the same as it would if it was in its intended purpose. You're not pulling 13,000-pound trailer. You're not.
So you're not seeing the same heat.
Yeah.
And the beauty of the 14, I don't know if we're going to touch on this, but the pattern and the backlash, the best. I've never done better.
Oh yeah.
He got it on the first try.
Oh wow, that's a wild difference from the 44.
He does way more than a duck. He is not a witch. I have tested this many times. So he's not a witch. He's not a wizard.
To be fair, though,
To be fair,
I have heard that 14s are fairly easy-ish to set up.
Yeah.
And we didn't change anything in the rear other than the gears,
gears and the bearing got all. The pinion got all fresh bearings, and because we were using the rear carrier, we saved the bearings for when the locker is finally released.
Yeah. We were hoping that Ox comes out with a 14-bolt locker in the rear, so we can run front and rear cable driven.
But right now you've got a gov lock in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really, just to go back to touch on the Ox and why we went with the Ox is because I have an issue with air. Mm-hmm. Because I'm always hearing about airlines crimping or getting a leak or just an issue.
Well, think about it. How often do you use your locker? Like if you had a selectable locker, how often would you use it a year?
Honestly, I probably wouldn't use it that much.
Maybe for the trails that we run, if we did greens and forest regularly, you might use it 4 times a year.
Yeah, well, I mean...
Maybe 4, 5.
Yeah,
maybe a couple more because it's there, so you might as well. But
I was just saying, I may try it at different obstacles just to see the difference.
But so whenever you're relying on an airline being good, that's not something that you check regularly. And when you do check it, it's when you need it.
Exactly. And even thinking electronics, I've been in a few Jeeps that are electronic and is it on? Is it not?
Yeah.
It's just saying
is it engaged? Is it not?
It's angry flashing. Do I sit here and wait for it?
Should I start trying to move forward, spin the gear, bang? Oh shit.
Yeah, it's just it didn't really kind of sit well with us, plus the cost of everything. But you and I really liked the Ox locker, and we have that little I call it the bolt, but I guess is that kind of like a correct term? Do you think for it?
Yeah, exactly. Just a spring detent that locks the collar in place.
Okay.
Which locks all the little, I don't know, cogs.
Yeah.
So then it is locked. But the mistake I made was I didn't put it in right away, or didn't put grease in right away. So it actually got a little rusty. It's just cast iron.
Yeah. That's meant to be bathed in oil, right?
This one is outside.
Oh, it's outside?
Yeah.
So it's got this little pin that goes right through the cover. It's genius design. It's sealed.
It's really cool.
Oh, for the cable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the cable or the air or the electronic solenoid will act upon that.
Okay.
So it just so happens the cable is the standard fare, standard offering. And you and I thought about it. It'd be kind of neat because you might be able to feel mechanically a little bit of the interference or the engagement.
Yeah.
So
we always figured if we had any issues that we have that bolt to put in.
Yeah.
And run that locker out if we had any issues.
I think it's a straight pipe thread.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but it feels to me like something I could get a tap for.
Yeah. Okay.
We'd have to take a look at it and pull it out. It's in the Jeep. It's been sitting in the Jeep the entire time.
Yeah. So that would be kind of cool to run that. And,
now, does that ratchet at all? Whenever.
It's locked.
It's locked.
It's either spool or open.
So there's no. Oops, I forgot my locker's locked.
No, you're pushing through a corner or you're busting a hub.
Don't say things like that.
But when it comes to you're talking about the locker though.
Yeah.
Think about how many times in the wintertime where you'd rather just have the 2-wheel drive, like the 2-wheel paw, and just start walking the corners. Mm-hmm. As it is now with that gov lock, it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah.
Well, my Jeep doesn't really have enough power to
engage the gov lock.
Not even engage the gov lock. Like I do have a few instances where the gov lock hits, and it's really odd times, and it's not under a lot of pressure. Not when you would expect it, right?
Yeah.
Like 14-volt things.
Yeah.
But I can't
That's just
really
G80 things.
Yeah, well, I can't really drift the Jeep anymore. I just don't have enough power to
turn everything.
And also every shift's a cliffhanger. I'm really trying hard not to beat on the transmission. Yeah. So realistically, do I go over 3,500 RPM at any point in time? No.
Mm-hmm. So it's time to use a nautical term, a repower.
A marine upgrade.
Yeah.
A marine upgrade would be quite nice.
A marine LS would be sweet.
I'm not doing an LS. I'm diesel.
A marine Cummins would be nice too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oof.
But that's a whole different other thing of like engine swaps and everything like that. But no, the real linchpin is that we had that whole thing of the 30 being our weak point.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that it was, what can we do to fix that? We looked into 30s and we're like, okay, so if we do the 30 again, we just get in bare housing, which you can get fairly cheap. I've seen them up for like $100.
Yeah.
You know, if that's the case, we throw all our inners into it. We throw all the pieces in, and then what? A few months down the road, I break it again in a different situation?
Yeah, so why did you do ton instead of a 44? Just cost?
Cost?
Because that's my biggest thing whenever I'm thinking about my Jeep and what I want to do to it is why I want tons instead of 44s, because I can get 2 1-ton axles for the same price for cheaper than I can get a 44. Yeah. Now I have to put more into the 1-tons, but I end up with a better.
Yeah. I guess when you think of it this way, say for instance to take out 44, it's got locker, it's got gears,
yeah,
you know, and it bolts in, and like you said, 37s, and your Jeep 137s is an absolute monster.
Yeah,
4-inch lift 37s. Mm-hmm. Look out. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was a weight thing.
Yeah.
We figured the added weight of the 4-door. And really, I guess we were going to go that route anyway. We want a little more gear. 37s would have been just fine. But I guess the added excitement of having a little extra room for air. And if they ever wanted to go for a bigger tire.
If we wanted to go for a bigger tire, we wanted to go for a bigger build. We already had a solid foundation.
Yeah, well, like you can run 42s on yours, no problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Until something breaks.
50-some, put some Michelins on.
Yeah.
Just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
No, I was like, when we did the first swap, when we re-geared and everything like that, I'm like, I'm never going bigger than 35s. And then you were like 37s. I'm like, oh, babe, do we really need 37s? Boom, 40s.
Yeah.
And then like the other day, I was looking at one of the Instagram accounts that we follow as a group, Psycho Cupcake.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like...
Oh, yeah, was it her progression?
I don't know which one. There was just one video.
She did one of her progression over the years.
Oh,
how she got to where she is. It was pretty sweet.
I saw her 42s and I was like,
ooh.
Oh, maybe. And then I was like, well, my 40s could go to Mitch for the Cherokee.
Are they?
And I could
get 42s Trapidors?
Yes, they are Trapidors.
You don't want those on the road.
Bias.
Nick's just like, you don't want the Trapidors.
No, you don't want them because they'll be gone. 3 trips out to the barn, they'll be worn out.
Absolutely.
D-shape in the morning and burnt by afternoon. But sweet, totally sweet.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely sweet. Yeah. But that's definitely not in the cards right now for us. I'm happy the way she behaves.
Yeah.
And if anything, like we just spoke on, the daily driving factor of those 40s.
Oh, absolutely.
Get rid of it as a daily driver, like get a different daily driver
and ton it, and then have to look for another daily driver, and then
it's the same,
ton it, and then another daily. Oh, Jesus!
Whenever I eventually either ton or do 44 or whatever, it's probably the Mickey Thompson, the Baja XS, are they?
Now you're talking.
Just all the noise.
Yeah.
Beautiful tire.
Yeah.
Nothing spells I'm ready for off-road than those tires.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Oh, those Kryptonites, eh? Those all-American Kryptonite tires.
Oh, yeah.
Just weapons.
Yeah. Old school, get some pit bulls.
Now, I've heard that those are very heavy, and they take a lot of axle.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Anything's a possibility. I just wanted to go back to some of the issues that we had with the axles and stuff like that. We learned a lot.
Yeah. Innuendos.
Building those axles, a whole bunch of different things, as you said, like little tiny facts of like the hub difference in size.
So start at the front. So at the very front is steering.
Yes.
As common as these swaps are, you have to be mindful of what you're doing and like the steps you're going to go. So there's different companies that, because it's Super Duty, very common, right? Mm-hmm. There's different companies that make, you would mill the right side knuckle and you'd bolt this arm on, or you can get a whole new knuckle. Okay, that's fine. If you run the stock steering, that's a nice factory width, but then you have to have something that goes up the steering box. Okay, and the steering box is one thing. Well, whereabouts is your track bar going to mount? It's like all these things. Mm-hmm. So there'd be times where I'm doing this research, you're doing this research, we're shooting the breeze, we're back and forth. Okay, well, This option is good and strong. This option is a little bit more expensive. This option is going to be great. Oh, well, what about things that we found out after? Okay, ball joint eliminators. That's a down the road thing.
Well, we talked about ball joint eliminators. It was something that we discussed during. And it was more like the cost, the availability. You have to remember we were building this at the height of COVID, too. And it was like price, availability, if we're going to be able to get it done this year.
And they were a little bit new, too. We didn't really know what. And we were just like, this thing is primarily a everyday driver.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
so
then a family truckster.
Yeah, we take it to go places. That's how it is. So, so weld-on steering. Okay, that's an easy option. That's something that's available. You know, you heat up the cast, you weld it all together. You got mill it out straight. You put these great big bolts in, and you're good. Well, then you have your options, like the different openings of where the hind joint goes.
Yeah.
And you're like, hind joint on a daily driver? I guess so.
Yeah.
Keep them lubed.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you say to yourself, okay, depending on where these go and how they match up to the track bar for the drag link.
Yeah.
The steering, the tie rod, that's one thing. But the drag link and the track bar have to match for the best results.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at all this stuff, you're okay, well, is this going to be in double shear, like in the best possible spot? Okay, what about axle placement? And then as we found that just because everything lines up in one facet, next thing you know, that tie rod's hitting the freaking steering box.
I was just going to touch on that. Our tie rod actually still hits the steering box.
And then you're like, well, now what's the option? Oh, well, offset heims. Okay, well, offset heims will get you about halfway out the sector shaft. Well, now you got to pump the axle forward. Well, pumping the axle forward, you got to make sure your caster's back in.
I was going to say, like, how do you set your caster whenever you do stuff like that? I was just say, it's not going to be...
Oh, and then here we go. Here's something I just remembered. So something we didn't think about until after was clearance to the front cover, the differential cover.
Yeah.
Okay, so you steer. Okay, that's one thing. That's fine.
Yeah.
But what about the track bar?
Because when you're articulated...
And as it is now, where the axle is sitting, and one of the reasons why we didn't kick the axle forward initially was because the track bar that's an aftermarket one we built.
Yeah, all of it's aftermarket.
Yeah, so the rear we used the stock one.
Yeah. Stock out of the Jeep or stock out of the...
It was a stock replacement, so it was one that was adjustable, I think.
For the rear, yeah, but no, like the front's all us.
Yeah, so as a result, if we kick the axle forward, we got to change a different track bar.
Oh.
Because the track bar has to have that little hump in it to make room. So that'll be fine, and then everything else will follow, and then, of course, we'll put the different steering box in. Yeah. And then, of course, again, another thing, the factory JK Pitman arm has a slight hook to whichever side, left or right. So if you incorporate that, you build your drag link to that size, you get it all perfect, and then you go to one side, it doesn't go all the way. You're like, oh, that's kind of strange. Go to the other side, and it turns crazy sharp. And you're like, what is this? And then after you know the problem, then you go online, and then you're able to say, is this common? Everyone's like, yes, that is very common.
I was just say, it's just to jump the...
you got to change the master spline on the...
There's a lot of different finessing things that we've learned.
Yeah.
We could help somebody, no problem.
Oh, absolutely. And I have talked to people who are considering doing ton swaps, and that was one of the things of like, all right, well, someone's driving my Jeep, take a left, take a right. What the? Yeah, let's... So, do you see the difference in between the two? Turning into parking lots cannot be a lot of fun sometimes.
One goes arguably just a touch too far, and the other one's limited.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's just the front, and surprisingly, it goes down the road all right.
So we haven't had any issues with the front.
Yeah. It's against a 3-link in the front. Yeah. So it's got the right side has the upper link, all quarter wall. It's 2-inch dom, right?
We had to replace the way our suspension set up. We had to replace the cross member, which allowed us. We had that gas tank skid plate that was sitting around for the longest time, and finally, when we had to do the cross member, you're like, all right, well, you should probably do the gas tank as well. And we did that skid plate, and we welded on the rear arms. Remember that? The brackets.
Yeah, the lower arm brackets.
Yeah, and I remember you welded it on, and like I walked by, and I'm like.
Somebody's going to see.
I'm like, Nick's going to notice this. Nick's going to be like, what's this? What is this? And like because we were going wheeling, and you had it all painted and everything like that. It was black, and the whole entire day I was like, let's just not look at my Jeep, and I was just like, hurry along, Nick, somewhere else. And
I did not notice.
You never noticed it.
I'm not the most observant fellow, I will admit.
Well, and really, you're not expecting that either. Like, you're not saying, like, oh, someone's doing undercover brother long arm things.
Yeah.
Like. But yeah, so the upper one was welded in. The lowers were welded in. And I don't know if we had done the front lowers, but definitely had to do the upper in situation. Same thing. I think
it was just the upper that you did while you were doing the install.
Yeah, and then same thing with the axle brackets, the uppers axles on both sides. We had to weld them in place because you wanted to make sure that your axles were kicked back far enough. Then you rotated them to have a good pitman arm.
And you had to cut out you had to cut out stock arms, so it wasn't anything we could do ahead of time.
Yeah, it's amazing amount of stuff. You're like, oh, this would be a quick install. Then we're driving over there, my pickup truck full of everything I could think of.
Yeah.
I had the trailer on my Jeep. I thought it was actually funny she was hauling her own shoes. Because, I had the...
Those axles were heavy enough that with just nothing Super Duty wheels and tires on it, the trailer, the little, like, hobby trailer that was meant for, like, a lawn tractor, was dying.
Oh, yeah.
And it was,
and those are just 2 axles. Yeah. Doesn't sound like much.
And it was... You can walk there. It's not that far.
Yeah.
Like, it's about, like...
If you had too many beers, you just walk home.
Yeah, like a 10-15 minute walk there. So, like, what, 2-3 minute drive? Well, we hauled her home. Yeah. She had Bluetooth drive shafts, and Mitch hauled me home.
Yeah.
So...
No, you hauled me.
That's right. Because I was like, you've done a lot of work over the last few days. You should definitely be the one to drive her home.
And I don't remember, because we had it running, so we had steering and lots of brakes.
Yeah, we had steering, brakes. We just didn't have any drive shafts.
And I was actually quite impressed on how you did it.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I say I pulled you home in chips.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was an interesting experience. Would I do it again in a heartbeat?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if I brought home a JKU, I'd ton it right away. If we were off-roading it.
And it wasn't.
Like, oh God, no!
I love the hesitation.
Did you see the look of fear across his face of like
fear and like, oh, I don't.
We better.
I think this is him going. Gosh, she needs to learn how to weld.
Can she just get a Rubicon and
no
Simmons?
Amateurs. No.
The Rubicon is worth its weight, I think.
Yeah.
But no, if you had like a shrink
I read an article the other day. Actually, it said Willys is the one for Jeep enthusiasts, which I thought was interesting.
That's bullshit. I got one, and I should have got a Rubicon.
It said for most enthusiasts that Rubicons were overrated and it should go with the Willys. And I was like, yeah.
Well, where are they wheeling? Are they like it? So in Ontario, Rubicon is the way to go.
But also too, it depends if realistically if you have a 2-door or a 4-door. You know, look at Ken's Willys compared to your Willys.
Yeah.
The wheelbase makes a world of difference, and he's 2.3
He's got a spring
inches.
lift.
No, he's 2.3 inches longer than me.
Yeah. And he's got a spring lift in his.
Yeah.
Well, all we need to know is when they bought their Rubicon.
Yeah.
And then they stepped into a Willys after.
Yeah.
And she's like, why is this not wheeling the same?
Well, that was her thing. She was just like, oh my God, I miss my Rubicon. It wheeled so much nicer than this. And she's like, I miss the lockers.
Lower transfer case.
That is huge. Yeah. I think the JLs are fairly beefy.
Yeah,
fairly heavy.
You got a good...
They got a lot of electronics in them. Like, especially compared to yours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, like, well, all right. Look at your doors compared to my doors.
Well, here.
Yeah.
You picked up my doors and you're like, why are these so heavy?
Yeah.
Electric motors.
Yeah, and I specifically wanted a Jeep without power windows.
Nice.
Because I didn't want to have to lift the motor.
I'm mildly happy I have power motors. I'm sorry.
It's
with 4 doors.
It's convenient. It's very
convenient.
Yes, I'll admit that. But
wait.
I like the simplicity of mine.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like compared from the YJ doors to the JKs, like they're polar opposites.
And I love that I don't have so many electronics that when I eventually do an engine swap, whether it's an LS or whatever, I don't have to. Probably, but I can cut out everything Jeep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like get rid of the gauges. I don't need any of the electronics. There's nothing in there that I'm tied you need for the vehicle to run.
Mm-hmm. And anything that it's already been thought out.
Yeah.
Like you can do a little bit of research and walk right into something that's painless almost.
Yeah. That's what I do have to love
and
about
like gauges, I can get a friggin' Android tablet and plug it into the OBD2 port.
Done.
Yeah.
But what I was going to touch on was how many times have we asked the newer JL folks, hey, is this thing in low range?
Yeah.
Because the 272, that sounds like a gear that we're all familiar with. But it just doesn't want to climb up with a full load of people and all the stuff that you got in it through the day's adventure. Aftermarket tires, larger tires on the stock gears, it all adds up to a little bit more try.
Yeah. Well, even his weight, I know, like, your weight compared to my weight, being the 4-door to the 2-door, you know, like that was a huge weight difference. And I was running bigger tires than you at that point in time. Like, at that point in time, I was a lot heavier than you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Slightly heavier now.
I'm way heavier.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I remember running it over the scales and taking a look at it, and I was like...
Your ass got a little bigger in the last few years.
It has gotten really big. She's got a nice ass on her, I'm not going to lie to you. But I remember going... I went to the dump, because I'm like, I have to know. Mm-hmm. And I made sure I had planned it, that I had like...
Half a bag of garbage.
Yeah, pretty much. I had leaf bags, so it was free.
Yeah.
I'm smart. No, I did... I had my rails on, I had my bumpers on. I wasn't carrying the spare, but I had like all my good bits on.
Yeah.
You know, I had all my summerness on. And I went through and I'm like, she's like, you're good to go. I'm like, can I have a receipt? Because I really want to see my weight. And she's like, absolutely. She handed me my weight and I was like, oh. I'm like, Bertha.
That got away on me.
Heavy.
Well, the strength of the horsepower didn't go up, yeah.
Yeah, weird how that happens.
Yeah.
Eh? No,
28, 27.
But that's also...
2840.
An advantage of doing the tons over 44s and 37s or pushing it to 40s or whatever is now you have those bigger brakes.
Absolutely.
That can handle that as long as you get a booster that's...
And a master to flow the fluid.
Yeah.
I just say we do probably still get back into looking into something like that.
Because the early JK at the 1-inch bore, later model JK inch and 16th.
Yeah.
And the J8's inch and an 1/8.
Yeah.
So that's the next level.
Well, we couldn't find any J8s. Like, that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But we couldn't find anything.
Because as far as I know, the JKs are one of the last holdouts of a standard SAE fitting. Everything else is all metric.
Okay.
So if you say to yourself, oh, well, you got a big Cummins, why don't you just use one of those? Well, some cases, the fittings for the bore is on the opposite side.
Okay.
Compared to the ABS module. Yeah. And... they're not 3/8 and 7/16. It's like M10 and M11. So no big deal, just get fittings. But they're on the other side. You're like, if I just wait for the right one, you just pull this out, put this other one in, fill it up with fluid, bench bleed it, fill it up with fluid in the Jeep, done.
But you know what would be great though? Is that like we could, instead of doing a J8 kit on your XJ when we ton it, you'll be able to use one out of a Ram. Because
it, maybe, I imagine the Cherokee would be metric.
It would be.
It's funny because it's an old cast iron thing now.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what is this from a buggy? Like, this should be a single pot master cylinder. I think in 67 they went to dual, but yeah, isn't that funny?
No, but that may be something that we need to look into. We haven't looked into doing the XJ. Like we've sourced our axles. We've got at least one of the axles. We've got a front.
Yeah.
Already.
And the 14s come up on occasion.
Yeah, so we're keeping our eye out for a 14, but we're not like actively searching. But yeah, that's definitely going to be our next big project, other than we're planning on doing an engine swap.
I was going to say, the TDI is so cool.
I was just say we have a TDI for
and then
in the extra?
Yeah, it's still lightweight.
Yeah.
Like I've heard of even talking about people saying about doing a larger TDI in Sarah's.
Well, with all that new rolling mass, is the TDI strong enough?
So the thing is, it will do it, but it will do it in short bursts. Because you think about it,
Are you talking about me or for him?
For him.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
But the thing is, with an exhaust gas temperature gauge and the right airflow and not...
And your gear ratio, like your gearing is... It's not going to be working on the trail, but on the road, getting to the trail.
Yeah, it's going to be up in the RPM a little bit. Like, it's nothing for my Jeep to be going down the road with the 4-liter, 2,200 RPM.
Yeah.
So that's right in, like, a good boost, good airflow. You're not really crazy on the cylinder pressures, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But, like, your Jeep at 5,600 pounds or whatever... Well, my Cummins is 61.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference.
Well, that was my my big thing when we talked about engine swaps.
Yeah.
Is you were looking at the 4BT. I think you said once. I think we saw a JKU with a TDI in it down one of our trips down to the States.
There was a 4BT, and then of course the 2.8.
Yeah, but I think we saw one with a TDI, and my comment was I'm like, I don't think that even when we were stock axles, there you go. When we were stock axles, I wasn't going to get any better than what I have right now.
Yeah, just better fuel economy, maybe.
Yeah, and that's my big thing right now, because, like, I can't pass people.
Yeah, no.
Or you can if you wanted to wring the crap out of it.
If I'm going downhill and I have a wind behind me, I might be able to pass somebody doing about 60,
well,
70.
I had to push you up a couple of hills coming back from Peterborough, so.
That's right. You did. I think I texted. Sorry, I wasn't texting. Nick and I were just like, I was like, I've diverted all power from the thrusters, and I was just like, don't push me. I'm doing the best I can.
Texting from Mexico, yeah.
No, I was like, I'm doing the best I can. Just leave me alone.
You're right.
I'm trying hard.
And that's something too. Like, Highway 35 where it's nice and hilly and stuff. That's something that we consider. And like silly things too, like the overdrive off button is all like coffee gunked up, right? So if I was to clean that and get that working better, and you can plan a little bit. But I think that's where we talked about the manual. Where it's okay, there's a big hill coming, perhaps a 5th gear out of 6, maybe a 4th gear out of 6.
Yeah, give her a fighting
say, okay,
chance.
there's 2,500, there's 3,000, and we just carry on.
But since you've got the axles, I mean, 6PT, and
So
you don't even have to worry about that. You don't even have to think about it.
So the thing is, you wouldn't have to worry about much firewall either. Like, have you heard of a doghouse in a minivan? That's what that would end up being.
And
so
there's a whole lot of room
there
in
is
there.
a lot that we keep going back to this. I want a 12 valve. I would like to have a little bit of chips. Again, we have to do a whole podcast on chips because chips is our own animal entirely.
You gonna do the 1-2? You can do the 1-2?
What do you mean the 1-2?
Compound?
Well, that would be
something.
That was the discussion. If
I
we
think
did
a decent high dollar single turbo would be excellent.
No, we talked about doing the when we talked about 4BTs.
Yes, because the 4BT.
And I said if we're 4BTing, then I think we should twin turbo it. And that was something that we.
And get the airflow up with a can.
Yeah, like we're actually, if we do get a 4BT, we're going to do it proper.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it probably very similar to chips, just with the 4s.
Well, the 4BTs, they're hard to find.
But they fit.
Yes, but they're
so
hard to find, though.
They are hard to find. We would probably have to go stateside and find something.
Because even if you look for something that was in a skid steer or piece of equipment or something like that,
but you have the issues with the pumps and everything like that, and what's limited at.
And then what else were they in? Like old bread vans,
and
generators.
That's the ideal. Yeah, the bread vans is the only real on-road application that you can come across.
I thought there were Savannah vans too.
Well, it wouldn't be a Savannah van.
No, I don't know. But again, American, like I said, you can see them for $5,000 Monopoly dollars.
Yeah.
But you have to get them shipped back.
Yeah.
Or you go down and you buy 2, so you can sell one to your friend to help pay for the offset the cost.
Yeah.
But again, too, if I'm going to buy it for $5,000, I think that was taxes, and then of course to get it back here, any kind of duty or something, you'd have to charge $7,000 or better just to make it worth it. And when you look online now, $16,000 for a brand new one. Now that's the hottest one. That's a P-pump intercooled aftercooled.
Jesus Christ!
Is that the 4BT or is that the R2.8?
That's the 4B. No, the 2.8. I think with a transmission will get you up that.
I think I'm gonna stop bitching about my $1,200 5.3s.
And that's Like I was gonna say, or like $2,000 6-liters.
Yeah.
Yeah, take my money.
Yeah.
But that's where, like you were saying, you could get a really good solid running 6-cylinder, and soak up the whole fact that your Jeep's going to be down longer, do more metal work, and get a sick transmission like that aluminum TR4050.
I like the MV4500.
Well, that's what this is, only nicer.
I know.
Shifts faster. So then you could have a nice, quick, responsive turbo, and the nice granny gear first, blah, blah, and then just bang shift from there. Away you go.
Yeah.
But oh boy. now you're talking 61.
We can just keep
6,100 pound Jeep, like.
Oh, she's gonna be a heavy girl. She is a heavy girl now, so, and we're not even carrying a spare. That's something we got to do this year. Maybe not this year. Maybe next year. Do a bumper for it.
Yeah,
sorry, basket.
I was gonna say Dad's got that.
Yeah, because your spare carrier is a little.
It theoretically can carry a 40. That's what it's supposed to say. It can carry a 40. Our biggest thing and why we have no idea if it does is because it doesn't actually where it bolts into is not actually the correct bolt pattern.
Yeah.
It's built for a JK. Yeah, it's built for, but it's a 3, and there's no way in hell we could even get it close to fitting.
Yeah, like if you made
you just
fab up a mount.
We could fab up a mount, but like to what end? We're gonna fab up a mount and then be like, oh, we don't really like how it weighs on the tailgate.
Yeah. Well, even those light 35s that you had, which were have to say light.
Look at when we hooked a trailer up to it. How the actual whole bumper went like that.
Yeah.
So you're going down the road over summer with the 40 hanging off the back.
Yeah.
Up high, so it's torquing on that. Like you're gonna.
I agree. It'd be nice to come up with something else, but
we talked about a basket style. I think that's the one we keep coming back to.
Basket style would be nice because then you can lay it down. You don't have to try and lift that 40 from up here down or back up.
Yeah, just I guess we've just been really lucky, but yeah, so it never ends. There's always something extra to do.
Yeah.
And but then we talked about having a little crawl box in the auto because the auto has a little tail shaft extension.
Yeah.
And you say to yourself, wouldn't that be so neat? But then the least favorite part of that whole Jeep is the damn automatic.
Yeah.
It is nice. Like, it is easy to drive. It's smooth.
Yeah.
But everything you bitch about that Jeep, it's, okay, low on power, doesn't have a lot of torque. And that automatic with the inconsistent shifting and the tall overdrive.
Yeah.
And it always wants to go in overdrive, always.
I was just saying, like, you'll be barely doing 60 and she locks into overdrive and the Jeep just makes this god-awful angry sound. Mm-hmm. And it's just...
Yeah. So we talked about...
She's senile. She can't make her own decisions. That's why she needs to be a standard.
And you gave her new shoes anyway.
Yeah, I gave her new shoes.
Yeah. So
she's all good parts underneath. A lot of stuff under skirt.
Yeah.
So we touched on the front axle.
Yeah, we touched on the front axle. Kind of touched on the suspension. You got Rubicon Express springs, right?
Yeah, Rubicon Express springs. Barnes homemade long arm.
Yeah.
Do-it-yourself kit.
Yeah.
A do-it-yourself kit, but like the joints are Barnes. The cross member's Barnes, and the one rear arm is Barnes.
TMR trusses because they were available locally.
Yeah, and it's a local company.
We tried to do as much local as we can. We got our Dom from TMR.
Yeah, that was the thing because shipping all that stuff was insane.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
So that's why we literally tried to get as much as we could from here locally.
And like I said, we welded and machined and did whatever we could up here.
There was a lot of work because we did belt sanding for a while. We did a lot of grinding. We went through so many flap decks because it wasn't even funny.
Are you talking about the axle cleaning?
Yeah, the axle cleaning and stuff like that.
So all of that, like all the axle cleaning and whatnot, was as much as you did necessary, or was as much as you did more to your specifications?
Both.
Like, can you get away with doing less?
Not on the front, I don't think.
No, eh?
Because like,
you need to put the truss and the...
I was going to say the truss and all the brackets, and some of the nicer ones, like the Barnes one, it's all keyed together. So it's like it either keys together and it fits, or it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you got to cut pieces of cast off. You got to smooth it all together. And you're right. Like, if you looked at it, you would say that somebody went over the top and smoothed this part and that part and this and the other. But then you can
it's already a part and you're doing it, so you might as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there shouldn't be any scars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like preheating the axle, that was a trick that we learned
That was
online.
a huge thing, is preheating the axle.
So when we did the 60, we made sure to have the torches. We made sure to have fiberglass blankets to wrap it up.
Yeah.
And again, this could be a bone of contention and stuff, but we knew we were doing all new seals. We knew we were doing all new bearings. So everything came out of the axle.
I say it was completely bare when we did it.
Yeah.
But same thing with the knuckles on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like, we don't have the hydraulic ram assist, but the steering is held up very well.
And honestly, I know it's the whole thing of like turning the 40s with a finger. I mean, for stock steering with no assistance, I don't actually find it that bad to steer. She's very light in the steering.
Yeah, the steering box itself is just a little bit looped out.
Oh yeah, steering box is looped. But we do have the PSC downstairs, which I'm excited to put on and have a discussion about that, because it's a completely new thing for us to tackle. We haven't even really looked at it very much.
Because it's a whole system, and that's why we went with it.
So, what do you have? Like hydro assist or just a new steering box? Or
So it's a new steering box, reservoir, lines,
and the
RAM.
assist,
Oh, and the RAM and everything. So it's hydro assist.
Yeah, because that's why we never bothered with the steering stabilizer.
Yeah, beauty. Yeah.
So the thing is, if you have
steering stabilizers don't fix death wobble.
You don't need a steering stabilizer.
If things are in good shape.
If things are working proper, steering stabilizers help a little bit with bump steer. That's it. They don't fix death wobble.
That's what I said. They don't fix death wobble. But we had the YJ here. Just sorry.
Little time lapse.
A little time lapse here. We're just gonna jet out. We had a YJ here yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
It was on a trailer. It was going pretty much to its death, unfortunately. Oh. It's going to be rebuilt. We'll see how it goes.
20 years ago, it got put into a field.
Yeah, and it's going to be.
That's the Laredo, right?
Yeah, that's the Laredo.
Those are so nice.
But you were just like, I think it's actually. I think it might be the stabilizer. I think the stabilizer might be seized.
Yeah, unbolt those. Yeah.
And you're like, I can. No, you're like, I can unbolt that one, and I'm like, I'm looking under, I'm like, there's 2. And then you're like, you and Greg are like, oh my God, there's another one. I'm like, well, one's not enough. And I'm like, it's okay. He probably doesn't have death wobble now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry if that hurts anybody's feelings. Stabilizers do not fix death wobble.
No, but they do look cool.
They do look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 90s with the pink shock absorber boots.
Oh, hell yeah.
That was amazing.
90s, right now, man.
Chrome springs. Okay, so we covered a little bit about what went into the front, welding on the truss, doing all that. Drive shafts, got them local.
Yep.
Yeah, that's...
Greasable.
Yeah, you just, take the measurement, send it off to the driveline shop and say, here's my money, make me a shaft.
Yeah, so they have...
That's pretty much how it went.
They have a kit, apparently. They have a kit that has the double cardan or constant, whatever you want to call that. And then it has the little piece of tube, and then it has the slip yoke, slip spline, whatever. And then the lower joint, and then you just say, okay, here's my flange face to flange face, or center to center.
Yeah.
And then they say, okay, yeah, that will work, and then Bob's your uncle. And I think yours are within an inch.
Mine are really...
Yeah.
They're nice drive shafts. They hurt extensively. Prepare yourself.
Oh, like money-wise?
Money-wise,
Oh, God,
they hurt a lot.
I had the TJ one rebuilt, and it was enough because they had to cut the end off because whoever had it before drove it for too long, and the centering pin in the double cardan, anyway, that ball bearing, the centering pin was all wiped out, so they had to cut that off, put a new one on, rebuild everything, and it wasn't cheap, but it's...
Well, you're done.
You're done.
Stuck, right? I was just saying it's local. But I went over and picked them up, and you were able to start working on putting them in.
Yeah, and I was talking to the guy who was doing it. Like, I could have probably ordered an Adams drive shaft for the same price, plus shipping on top. But I got these local,
and supporting
just
local.
as good a job.
Exactly.
And they were familiar, which was nice. And it came to putting the because the JKs have that flange on the transfer case, so we needed actual yokes, and they knew exactly. And they also said, hey, don't forget to put a little RTV on it, like just little things like that.
Yeah,
I say the guys are really good there, and they know us really well, and like when we come in with stuff, they talk to you, they tell you what you're looking at, and everything like that.
Yeah,
Really,
they explain it out. Like, they don't just say, here's the price, deal with it.
Yeah.
Here's the price because.
Yeah.
True.
Or even just asking questions. Like, I know that sounds really weird for, like, you guys, but, like, definitely being a woman in the industry.
Yeah.
Like, to go in and have a conversation with somebody, and they actually sit down and have a conversation with you.
Yeah.
And they're listening to what you're saying.
They don't treat you like a woman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, this is not how this is going to work, because this is what we're using it for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, well, like, when we were doing the white shafts, And I went in, and he was like, well, what are you using it for? And I told him, he was like, oh, these ones aren't going to work. Let me go check and grab the other ones.
Oh.
Yeah, we learned the difference between the 1310, 1350 joints.
Yeah.
Well, there's a difference between a drive shaft joint and a steering joint.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were learning...
So internal clips and external clips.
Oh, okay.
Because they make a joint to go from 1350 to 1310.
Huh?
So it's really cool, interesting things learning that.
Yeah.
And they took the time to mention it to you.
Yeah, and we had a discussion about it. And then he was looking up information for me, and we were talking about it.
You mean he didn't want to talk to your husband?
No,
instead?
I have that a few times.
The only time that we have any kind of stumping is when we did the Dana 60 gears in the front. I wanted to get away from crush sleeve. I thought, hey, the pounding on and off, let's just get rid of the crush sleeve.
Yeah. Take
the time, set it up without a seal, make sure there's no float, and go from there, right? Set up your preload and away you go. Well, if you are in the business of doing stock for stock and not in the aftermarket as much, like doing the stuff that we're into, when one of the guys was mentioning to his supplier, said, like, okay, I'm doing this, I need the crush sleeve eliminator. That sounded ridiculous because apparently it's not a Ford thing. That is an old Dana 61 thing, Dana 71 thing, like all the old, first gen stuff. They had crush sleeve eliminators, I don't know, whatever. But anyway, more of the story was I had to find that local. I had to find that elsewhere. So it is what it is. But that, I learned a hell of a lot on that. I
was just saying, you and I learned a lot. It was a really interesting process. We have 2 young kids, so trying to get out there and do the work, it was very much a trade-off, wasn't it? It was just like, well, if you're going to look after the kids, I'm going to go out and grind a bit. Yeah. And it was our youngest was young at the time.
Yeah.
And needed a lot of my attention. Plus, we're in the middle of COVID. I had Ashton at school.
Yeah.
Online at home. So, like, that was a lot as well. And it was, we have a few minutes, let's go out and grind a little bit. Like, we had everything set up. Just essentially, you could walk out, grind, and come back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and...
Yeah, burn up a disc and call it.
Yeah, I know that feeling whenever I was doing the TJ. It was the same thing. I'd get a couple of minutes, go out there, work, and then come back in. And everything, like, everything drops where you leave it. So that when you come back out, you just pick up and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, cleaning up is actually the worst.
Yeah, it is. Because you take more time. Because if you got 10 minutes, you spend 10 minutes getting shit out. And then you got to put it all away. And all of a sudden you're running into overtime.
Yep.
And you haven't done anything yet.
Yep.
I do find that there's many projects, if we got a few projects on the go, it's like, okay, well, we got an hour before we have to do something, whatever that something may be. And it's like, how do you manage that time? How do you say, okay, well, I know my 10-minute job's take an hour. That's just something I've learned. Okay, so if it's going to take me an hour, and then, you know, the kiddos are outside running around, you got to keep a bit of an eye on them, but in the same breath, you want to get something done. And then it's a problem you haven't encountered before. And then the average do-it-yourselfer has to work through that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what am I doing here? Okay, what am I doing? Okay, stop. Don't hit your brother. Okay, now. You know, like that's just stuff. So I do look forward to not dealing with that as much, but I'm going to miss it, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just, it was interesting. I'm really excited.
When you guys did the actual swap, you had the benefit of having a hoist to use.
True.
Is it doable without a hoist?
One axle at a time, maybe.
I was just saying one axle at a time because we did chips without a hoist.
Like, you can't put it up on jack stands and just drop both axles and...
Somebody could if they were brave.
You could. I feel like, well, it depends on how you did the suspension too.
Well, like, I could not put a price on that hoist.
Yeah.
When we were cutting that upper link off, like cutting that upper link mounts off on the front, and then we put it in there, and we're kind of tacking it all into place, and it says once you've mounted it, and you got to put some shim in, little washer so it doesn't crush the joint, and you got to weld the top of the bracket and all this other stuff, and then you put it all together, and you're cycling the arm, and you kind of figure out where it's going to be in line, and you're like, oh, now it's into the exhaust. Yeah. Well, doing all that on your back would be a bugger. So I'm sure there's guys out there that are far more skilled and talented and resilient. But
so what you're saying is I should wait until I have access to a hoist.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit. We're working on it.
You might have to power the hoist up with a drill, but you'll get to the top.
Hey.
But I think that was probably the biggest thing that we did because my Jeep was a daily driver.
Yeah.
Is we had pretty much everything ready to go.
As much as we could think of.
Like, I felt like we had as much as we could. We had that issue where the rims needed, a half-inch spacer.
Yeah, so running, because we couldn't run the 18s.
Yeah, we couldn't run the...
Because it was very much a suck-in style rim, like a factory rim.
Yeah.
Couldn't run the 17s because the contact in the arms,
I was just
the steering arms that we had welded on.
Yeah, so that was an issue.
Because you think about where the arm is, well, it's not in the center anymore. It's up a little bit. So if it's up a little bit, now it's...
now you're into that. Yeah.
So if you look at it now, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's with a half-inch spacer. I remember I drove down to far away. I took the kids in the car and I nicked down there and I bought a set of spacers off a dually. Interesting fun fact, dualies and single wheels are different bolt patterns. Just so you know. Yeah,
so the Sarah's, yours is 8 on 170.
Yeah, and this was like
8 on 200.
I was just say 8 on 200 or
whatever.
So do you have to make your own bolt pattern out of those spacers, or?
So we didn't. We ordered like disc spacers essentially.
Yeah, so they were.
And then they didn't fit, and we had issue or not. It's not that they didn't fit; they weren't a tight fit.
So more of the story, we ended up taking some half-inch plate.
Yeah, and having
them blasted out, finished machining, fits like a glove.
Yeah.
I would just say one of our sponsors.
And they also fit where you can check each bolt pattern. You don't just put them on. So
nice.
So that's different. Because we wanted to make it so if anybody takes that tire off, they put it right back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was what was great about it.
And the rear, being the GM 8 on 6.5, aluminum spacer.
Yeah, the 2-inch.
2-inch, yeah. No, 1.5 inch. Because I remember the studs were too long.
That's right. The studs were too long and we had to cut those down. That was something else we learned.
Stock studs. I had to nip the studs down.
Oh wow. We learned a lot. There was a lot of random things that you wouldn't think you were going to encounter.
Yeah.
And encountering them. Because remember I was there when you were doing that. And trying to put we put the spacers on and I'm like, they're not fitting. you know, or we get them to fit or something like that, and then the rim wouldn't fit. And trying to see behind a big 40 with a 17 on it, trying to look around, trying to see why it's not fitting. Yeah. You know, that was...
Yeah. And then there's company... Okay, what was the other thing, too? Running the ABS.
Yeah, we don't have ABS.
You know, like you have the ABS sensors, and you can buy, you know, online they talk about putting Dodge sensors in the front. That's perfect.
And the tone rings and everything like that.
Yeah, so then it's like you can just tell the computer what's your pulses per revolution or whatever. And then there's kits to have little brackets on in the back where you machine out the little caliper bracket. You stick this thing on, but then you got to machine the hub down so you can fit this tone ring on. Like all these things.
Yeah.
You know, or how about those one-off? I forget who makes them now, but it's an e-brake cable that goes from the GM axle to the JK hand brake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah.
All these little things, you know.
Yeah, just a little ticky-tacky thing.
We buy a nice aftermarket, you know, diff cover. It doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Oh, because you bought one for a shaved.
We didn't
shaved,
know.
Not shaved.
Yeah.
I would say it was a shaved, not shaved. Like it was an interesting one that didn't.
The stick out from the axle was shaved, but it was a full size diff.
So it wasn't a shaved. It was a shaved gear set, not an actual shaved diff.
So it was an error. And they got us a new one, no problem.
Yeah, they got us a new one. They were fantastic to deal with.
But
again, a local-ish company.
Canadian company. Ontarian company.
Yeah. Local-ish.
Local-ish. It was
within a day's drive.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. In Toronto,
it's a day drive there and back.
It was a long drive, and there was quite a few instances coming from...
St. Thomas they're out of, right?
Norfolk,
yeah.
Flatland. Oh, and the reason, one of the reasons why we went with the 14 was we had heard that the gas tank interference.
Yes, absolutely.
With the Sterling, right?
Yeah.
But the Sterling was a no-brainer because it comes in the same truck that the front axle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely.
But I have that's why JK guys will often run a TJ tank in a 60 Sterling.
Nice.
Is because of the interference.
It is a cool.
How much would you get for the stuffing though? Would it still be an issue?
You're talking about like when the axle comes out?
Yeah.
I don't know. Or you could just stretch your two-door.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Just stretch that out a little bit.
Yeah. And now it's only drive shaft.
Yeah. You need a drive shaft anyway.
I would say you need drive shafts anyways. So, I mean, like, it all works out.
Yeah.
It's all starting to come together.
A plan. Grand plan.
Coming together, coming apart.
So, yeah. I guess that's it, eh? And I don't really know what else.
She's a beast.
No, there's. I'm sure there's lots of other things that we'll probably touch on.
Oh, absolutely. There's all sorts of different things and
last minute shocks. You know, we bought 2 sets of front shocks.
Oh, sweet.
Great for the rear.
Yeah, we went to go put the rears in and they didn't fit, and we were sitting at our buddy's place ordering shocks and just.
Yep.
Yeah. So when we ever need to replace fronts, we have another set downstairs and.
Yeah, or the next person who's like, I'm doing a one-ton swap. Hey.
I got something to sell you.
No,
great price.
Yeah.
I feel like we did
pre-COVID pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess there's a learning progress for us, but I don't even know if I'd go back, you know, like...
No.
Because we still got those other axles, they're still good for the next build, whatever that build may be, something lighter, you know?
Oh, definitely something lighter.
Oh.
That's a whole other dream build day.
Yeah, so I guess I'll have to touch back.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna need a lot of axles.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so even just to bring yours up to speed there, like doing a little trans rehab, you know?
Yeah, we gotta do a torque converter.
Torque converter,
like
shift kit.
Yeah.
And PSC system.
Bandager along, O-rings.
And then locker install, locker cable. Injectors. Oh yeah, more mechanical stuff, not fun stuff.
Not fun stuff. Maintenance stuff.
Maintenance stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty good.
It's getting warmer, so she's not as bad.
Yeah, smells like gas.
Yeah.
So anyway, really, that's it. That's all.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I think that's a good...
Yeah, I can run through specs quick, though.
Okay, yeah, sure.
2011 JK with a 3.8 automatic. We have 538s in the front with a 0506. We'll go 0506, Super Duty front end. Aux locker, long-armed with a Barnes DIY kit, aftermarket steering. To the rear, we have Barnes again. We have a 14 bolt out of a GM 07, I think. Yeah, 07. We really need to sit down and do build so we can write down all the part numbers. limited slip rear end. Again,
G80 Gov Lock.
G80 Gov Lock rear end.
Yeah.
It's interesting to drive.
Bang.
At odd times. Yeah, and she's running on Toyo 40s right now. Maybe 42s in the future. Who knows, 50s. Yeah. So,
once I get 40, she's going to have to go 42s because
40 and a half are fine.
So there's someone in the group, I won't disclose who he is as of yet, but there was a discussion of the fact that he asked me how big my tires were. And I said they were 40s. They measure out to 39.8s.
Yeah.
And his response was, well, I'm looking at 40.5s. And I'm like, of course you are, sweetheart. Of course you are. I got you. Yeah. So, no, it's we'll see how it goes. It's always a work in progress. All our builds are. Mm-hmm. So I don't really feel there's no such thing as done. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to take it apart after this because we're always going to take shit apart. There's always going to be some reason. Yeah. Well, look, if Ox comes out with a 14-bolt locker, that rear end's coming apart. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, you don't even have to take the tires off.
Nope.
Slide the axles up, pull the cover off.
Yeah, gotta love those full float axles.
But again, you are setting it up on your back again. But
you can sit. Yeah. My Jeep sits high enough you can actually sit underneath it. Yeah. Which is nice. Yeah. But at least you're not laying on your back. But do you want to... so you guys are both drinking the same beer tonight?
Yeah, so it's a Flying Monkeys Crowd Surf Passion Fruit IPA.
The way he was holding that back, I was trying to worry about his eyesight.
Well, no, I'm trying to read through because as you can see, there's a lot of stuff
in the
label, as per all Flying Monkeys beers. But it's pretty good. It's nice, drinkable IPA with a little bit of sweetness from the passion fruit, I think.
Yeah. I was very boring. I didn't drink anything tonight.
Yeah. A little bit of floaties, but we're good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so sign off. Eh?
Yeah, sign off. Follow.
Yeah, catch us next time. We're on Facebook and Instagram at WSOTR Jeeps. Our email and website is the exact same at gmail and .ca. And give us a like, give us a follow, and see you next time.